purpose. I'm walking in my purpose.
So today with us on Stool Talk, it's an honor to have this special guest we have with us. Here on Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose, on purpose, and today's guest is definitely walking in hers. Today we have with us Miss Victoria Makanjuola.
Hi, Dan Juan. Thank you so much for that introduction. You did get my last name right, so I appreciate you, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, time is something you can't get back. So, we always value the time and, make sure we have a thorough interview. But, I feel like you have something to say, and I feel like your journey and what you're going through needs to be heard. And, we're overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony.
Yes,
So
sir.
when we go through different stuff and we tell people there, no, I'm not alone. I
Yes,
can do
sir.
this and, even get comfortable. Just like we talked off screen, how Jeremy has been a blessing. Shout out to Jeremy, the It Factor
Shout
podcast.
out It
Check that out.
Factor. Hey,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
yeah, shout that out. Yeah, so you getting these different blessings because you're sowing seed into different ministries, to different podcasts, to different people's life because of the heart we got. And me not even knowing you, but just hearing about you and how amazing you are, I had to, get you on the show. What inspired you to start your podcast?
First of all, thank you so much. Truly, so I don't even know where to start, honestly, but I was in grad school in 2019. I started grad school at the George Washington University, and I was living in Washington, D.C., and obviously doing my program in media and strategic communications. And at the end of that program, we had an option to do a thesis or a capstone. And I chose to do a media project for mine. And I chose to do a podcast. And my advisors told me I could do anything that I wanted, any topic. So I was like, okay, I want to do mental health, because this was like borderline before the pandemic, and I could just sense like it was going to be a big thing happening, because we were already going into like isolation period. My college had already started kicking us off campus. I'm from Texas, right? So I had to move from Washington, D.C. back home to Texas, and it was kind of like a blessing in disguise type thing, because I didn't realize how much I needed conversation with people as well. So I'm just starting it as a tool to talk to people, talk to young people, facilitate conversations. But really, it helped me like get out of my shell and get out of my comfort zone, because I really wasn't talking to people as much as I thought I was.
Yeah. What was the process like with you starting it? Did you have to get motivated? Did it take extra prayers? Did you have to have like confidence in yourself, what you saying, not talking to people? So were you getting motivated by your prayers, or you just said, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it and just trust that God will be with you while you're doing it?
All of the above. And also, I had two great advisors, one of which I still talk to. I consider her a mentor, Miss Yvonne O, from the George Washington University, and my family as well. I asked them about the name. I'm like, what do you think of the name Feel Your Feelings? It sounds kind of cheesy. I thought it was so corny. They're like, that's fine. Like, do it. Go for it. You have your mission, right? And I'm like, yeah, like mental health, Gen
Yeah.
Z, something fun.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, go for it.
So in 2018, 2019, or 2019, whichever one, did God put that burden about the Gen Z and about mental health, or is that something over the years you always found yourself grasping close to, but then you knew like I got a burden, I need to talk about this, I need to be with that Gen Z, and I need to talk about mental health because it's important.
Yeah, I felt a need. I felt it on my heart and on my spirit as well. It was just a matter of like looking around me and seeing like what can I do? How can I make a difference where I am? What can I do with what I have where I'm at, if that makes sense. And so I just started with Sorry, that's something on my arm. I just started with the tools around me. I'm like, okay, I have a laptop, I have access to the internet. I can email people, I can reach out to students. I'm at this university, which has so many contacts and connections for me already. So I reached out to professors, students. But yeah, the idea just stemmed from also in 2022, there was the passing of Miss USA, Chesley Christ. She died by suicide, and also DJ Twitch as well. and even before that, Anthony Bourdain. So I knew like it didn't maybe hit me really, but I knew mental health was a big topic that needed to be addressed, especially during the pandemic because we were all so isolated and so wrapped up in our own worlds and emotions. So I wanted to find a way to like dig deeper into that.
Yeah, and it's a big thing now. So even when I seen the name, I kind of got it, but I still wanted to know, like, because you can see it in the name, and it just come out because people feelings are something that they don't share. They don't
Yeah.
talk around. They sit in there, they hide it until they explode, which
Yeah.
is dangerous, what you ain't supposed to do. And in
Yeah.
the Bible, it talks about comparison is a thief of joy.
That's
Social
right.
media, even us being podcasters, we can look like, oh, they got this many people joining. They got this. Like, it's a lot of stuff that the
Yes, sir.
enemy will use to try to come against you and to take you off to where now your mental is not intact. So with you talking about it, it's people out there that needs to hear what you're trying to say. And I'm thankful that God gave you a voice to be able to talk about this because it's needed in a world today.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, it's needed. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, comparison is the thief of joy. And I have compared my podcast and my abilities to others, which is it's not healthy
Yeah.
and it doesn't lead to productive things.
Yeah. What have you came across any difficulties or any roadblocks or anything that, kind of made you feel a certain type of way and you got the question like, dang, am I really doing this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like probably those questions of like, who am I? Like, am I qualified to be talking about mental health if I don't have any diagnosed illnesses or I haven't been to therapy or I haven't, really been in the mud with it? It's like, who am I to talk about it? So for me, it was a matter of doing my research and educating myself about it, especially about Black mental health and mental health in the Black community, but also my own experiences. Like I go through life as a young Gen Z. I'm 26. So as a young 20 something, young Black woman, young Christian Black woman as well from the South, there's a lot of things that I experience or have experienced in my life that could possibly add to my current mental health or my current mindset that makes me qualified because they're my experiences. So why not use my platform to share them?
Definitely. And how do you stay motivated and consistent with your podcast, being a young woman, being an African American woman, and still making sure that you're doing the things you need to do to stay close to God and to be on top of what you need to be on top of? Because a lot of people don't know having podcasts is not just simple as coming, turning on. You got to connect, you got to get confirmation. Have you ran into where a lot of people's canceling or where people, you're supposed to be on for an interview and now you got to go through this? Have you came and ran through that? Because that's where me and Jeremy got to talking because it was getting discouraging, and it's like, man, and how have you had any of those issues?
Yeah, do you mean like for me as a guest or at me hosting and having people on my show?
Either or, both.
Both. Yeah, both. I would say I've been invited to other, first of all, being a podcaster is a huge blessing in and of itself. I'm super grateful for the platform and position that I have, but when I'm a guest on other people's shows, like I have been asked to be a guest, and there have been experiences where like someone has asked me to be on on their show, and they didn't show up, and I was like waiting. I was just sitting like waiting in like the waiting room, and I remember reaching back out to them, and I was like, "Hey, do you still want to do this episode? I know you invited me," and they were like, and they just it didn't. They never did get back to me. Like the energy was off. So you'll
Yeah.
find like some weird people in
Yeah.
this space, in the podcasting space for sure, because everyone has a different idea of what their show wants to be like, and I have to respect that. Like if you want to record this way, or if you want to record in public, or I don't know. And I've had people on my show that that I couldn't really interview because of their location. Like if they're in a public setting, then I would have to be like, hey, like I want to sit down and like talk to you one on one, not you in like a Starbucks or with distractions
Yeah.
around you.
What does self-love mean to you? And why do you think it's important for the Gen Z community?
Mm. Self-love, what does it mean to me?
Yes.
I think it means gentleness and patience, for sure. I can be hard on myself. I was even thinking to myself yesterday of like, I'm not a perfectionist. I don't want to be a perfectionist. I want to be a progressivist, meaning like I want to seek progress over perfection because trying to be perfectionist has only led me to brick walls and me like not being able to figure things out myself. And to your second part, what does it mean to
Yeah,
my
to
gender?
the Gen Zers.
Yeah, I think self-love means respecting ourselves and respecting our opinions and the
Mhm.
things that we value. So if you value your family, then value your family. That's okay.
So even with the self-love, I like what you said about that, and even your target audience, and even people beyond that, they don't look at themselves and value what God has made them and what God has put inside them. So the fact that they need to know, and it is important for them to have self-love, because once you have self-love, then you have self-worth. So you'll know
Yes.
I'm more than this. I shouldn't get treated like this, or I shouldn't settle for this, or even let me follow and go after what God said, or even dreams, goals, or things that I want to do. Because if you don't, you'll be down on yourself, and I believe God strategically puts people around you that's going to help pour into you, that's going to help, be there for you. Because even with me getting guests like that, I be so like I used to be like, okay, something gonna happen. Okay, let me be positive. I'm ready. I have my notes. I'm ready to be. You know what I mean? And then something will happen. But just to say, no, I got you, because it's gonna
Yeah.
take faith for us to do what we're doing, because it's coming from here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of how we doing it and our reason to do this, we're not doing it for money. We're
Mm-mm.
not doing it for clicks or none of that. We're doing it to be pure, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole. Do you say Gen Z community? Is that the right way, or Gen Z? Like, how
You
do
can
you?
I say Gen Z, but
Okay.
you
And
could
that could
say
just be
Gen Z.
plural, right?
Yeah, it's plural. It's
Okay,
plural.
because I don't want to be
Yeah.
saying no community and all like that.
No, that's a
So
good question. Yeah, you got it.
it's important for the Gen Z to see and know different things, because they're coming up with different things, social media and all like that. So their perspective on a lot of things could be kind of shook and kind of tossed in front. So when they hear that voice, when they hear, that's how I seen you. You were saying something positive, and I caught and I looked like I seen we had people. So I just started clicking and different things like that. And I seen you in it. I said, yeah, that needs to be talked about, because it's Gen Z that watches mine, or that I know, or even people out in the world. So your light is shining, and God's going to continue to give you what you need. And even the fact that we need to stay close to him, sis, because if we don't stay close, we're doing it out of our will, but it say not
Yeah,
our will, but his.
his.
So, I'm
Mhm.
here today to even tell you, keep doing what you're doing, because
Thank you.
it's needed. Every episode, every post, every reel is needed out there for real.
Thank you. And I needed to hear that, so I appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. What what is your target audience like? If they get what you saying, do you know that you're doing something, or do you look at, like, is it different experiences that have happened that you see that you're doing good? Have you got any messages, inbox, has somebody messaged you and said, I seen your show? Have you have any confirmation or clarity of the work that you're doing and seeing it?
I'm still figuring out who my target audience is because some of us look at analytics and see like, oh, it's mostly 18 to 23-year-olds. I try not to look at that, to be honest with you. I really go based off of like vibes and energy. I've had people like older people, like people my parents' age and like their 50s and uh on my show that I've talked to. So at first I was basing it purely off age. But then after a while, I matured to realize that it's not just about talking to young people. There's so many podcasts that are already just young people to young person to young person. Instead, I shifted my perspective to be from a Gen Z perspective. So it's from my perspective as a young person, but I can talk to anybody. I don't care how old you are. Because I actually enjoy hearing the wisdom from the older generation, because I feel like your generation, you have things to teach me as well. So it's not just for young people, but I've had people DM me from all walks of life, really. That's how I've gotten a few guests on my show, is them pitching themselves, like Micah Dewanyi. He's a young man from Florida. And he's a former athlete, soccer player. He just graduated recently, and his publicist reached out to me because he wrote a book, and his book talks about like mental health and everything, from like a young Black man's perspective. And that's how I found out about him. Now outreach on my part, on my end, is another story. I
Okay.
still am working on my outreach to guests and podcasters, and seeing like, should I email, should I DM? But that's a whole different.
Yeah, but it goes into what it takes in this space, because like I said, that's where Jeremy has helped me out, seeing the type of people he got, how I reached out to you. He's just said just be authentic and just be your,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and they'll let and I believe like God gives us the certain people that he wants, for he can allow what's going to be said for the people that can reach it to be able to reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can go and pick this person, but if that person ain't right, something gonna happen to where that ain't supposed to happen. So that's how
Oh,
I'm kind of
absolutely.
looking at it. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. And just trusting your heart and trusting what you got inside of you. Now let me
Mm-hmm.
this. So are you open to suggestions or people referring guests to you that have something to talk about, different ideas? Are you open to that?
Absolutely, 100% I am. I actually had a podcast friend, and I consider a podcast friend community. My podcaster friend referred me to a guest that he had on his show, and he said, "Hey, like I don't want to like say her name or anything, but he's like, I just had her on my show, and she was just talking about wanting to connect with podcasters in the mental health space, and I thought of you, so I told her that you would reach out to her." And I'm like, oh, absolutely. Of course, I'm open to guest spots and guest requests. Like
Yeah.
if they feel aligned, if I feel aligned to them, then I'll reach out to them or they can reach out to me. I don't want to be an island on my own and be super particular. So I'm open.
Yeah,
I'm open.
and I'm definitely will start sharing what you have to say and sharing your different posts. Now, how often do you do the question and answers? I seen you had a spot on there. Do you do that often? Because I think that's very good.
Thank you. That's actually very recent, and I was inspired by another show where she did a speed round at the end, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have a speed round. I want to do a speed round." So that's very fairly recent, I would say. At the beginning of my show, I didn't do a speed round.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty recent.
Have you got people reaching out asking you different questions that may be struggling with something, that want to know your idea or what you feel about it?
Hmm. Just like as a creator, as a
Yeah,
podcaster.
both, any of it.
Ooh, yeah, I would say yes, I have. So my show, it's been around since 2021, so like 3 years. Yeah, 3 years now. So I've kind of built a little community. I only have like 400 something followers on Instagram. And I just hit 90 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I'm grateful for that. So
I just hit 100 here too.
like I was
Yeah,
trying to get to 300. I'm still trying to get to 500.
yeah,
But um yeah, I've had people reach out to me, really not so much for advice. Like at first I was thinking of like positioning myself as like a thought leader where people can like ask me questions, like ask Victoria about your mental health, or send in your mental health questions. But then I was like, I don't see myself again as like an expert or thought leader for people to send me their personal questions. Like
yeah,
I don't feel like I'm the person they should go to. I want to be a source of inspiration. I want to be an avenue for someone, maybe like a vessel, like a go-between for them to see me, and then me to maybe help them get to where they're trying to be.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
But I appreciate the people that do ask me questions.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
And it's just what going to continue to just put in the work and do it. What does family mean to you, and how has that helped you as far as where you at right now in life?
Family is very important to me. So, you just saw my sister. I still live with my parents, and I'm in my 20s. I'm not ashamed to admit that. We're all in different phases in life, but my family has helped me in many ways. I would say with my education, especially, they pushed me to go back to school. I'm currently back in school. I'm pursuing my second master's degree,
Yes.
online thank you, from the University of Southern California. And that was a program that I chose before that. Wow, before when I graduated in 2021 with my first master's, they were like, go back to school, go back to school. I'm like, no, I want to work. And they're like, you should go back. Like, you're missing out. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I am, but I'm gonna apply to my school, my dream school. So I
Yeah.
did. But yeah, my mom, my dad, like I said, my dad's from Nigeria. So I have a traditional African dad. So they can be strict and old school, but I think it all comes from a good place and that I respect. And yeah, I just hope I hope to continue like making them proud
Yeah.
of me and the work that I'm doing. And I hope to be able to like give it back to them, or them see something in my work and be like, oh, that's the vision that she had. We didn't get it, but we
Yeah.
see it.
What's your first master's in, and what masters are you going to after right now?
Yes, sir. So my first master's is from the George Washington University, School of Media and Public Affairs in Media and Strategic Communication, and a Master's of Arts. And now I'm currently pursuing my Master's of Science in Integrated Design, Business, and Technology at the USC Iovine and Young Academy. So it was co-founded by Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. And
Wow.
it's like an academy, like a creator academy for entrepreneurs, people that are like tech innovators, um, people that want to go in product design, web design. I really saw it as just like a creative hub. So I feel truly blessed to be there. I'm anticipating graduating next spring of 2025, but I've met some amazing people
Yeah.
there already. And, when you graduate, you actually get to take a picture with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. So like,
Wow.
I'm excited for that moment to like shake their hands.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even leading up to where I am has been a blessing, has been like, I don't know, I feel like I'm talking way too much about
Oh,
it, but
you good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I feel like God really led me to the school and the program to where I am now. Because I remember going back to family, talking to my family about, hey, I want to go to this program. And I remember my mom was like, love my parents, just prefacing. But I remember my mom was like, what is that? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, don't do that. And I remember I like held back and I was like, yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should. It's just too much. And I remember the Grammys had come on either that night or that week. And Dr. Dre had won the Governor's Award at the Grammys. And he was talking about his academy and they were flashing it on the screen. And I was like, okay, that's a sign. That's a sign. Maybe I should be there. And then in my community where I am, it's City of Excellence, Plano, Texas. And I would see like cars. So USC's colors are red and gold. And I would see cars with what are they called? Bumper stickers and the license plates
Mm-hmm.
uh things, and they would say go Trojans. And it would just be like these little like synchronicities that I would see out in public. That would be like, if I'm going to the store, it would be like a USC alumni. I'd be like, you know what? I'm meant to be there.
Yes.
Like, I'm meant to be there. So did my application. I had to write 5 essays about like my dream product, what it would be. And yeah, I did that, and I really just gave it to God. I'm like, if I'm supposed to be here, I'll be here.
Yeah.
And I got in, so yeah, I'm grateful.
And what I love about what you spoke on, that's why I wanted you to keep going, because you were aware and you didn't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna push it to the side," but you said, "I'm gonna just be aware. I'm gonna trust God and give it to God," and God starts to show you different things,
I'm
and that's how
revealing it.
you build. Yeah, that's how you build a relationship with God. Because a lot of people be saying, how do I get closer to God, or how do I get close to God? It's like a relationship. When you first meet somebody, you call them, you text them, you talk on the phone, you're building that. So you're building up your faith by staying connected to God, and then he'll show you, because he takes you from glory to glory to glory. So
Yes,
now
sir.
he's opened up your eyes for you can see. You trusted in me, daughter. So now I'm going to show you what I have for you. And I truly believe with you being around them people that he's going to give you favor where you need it and connect you to what's going to take you to your next point at the appointed and appropriate time when it's time to do that, to be able to see. Because right now you walking in faith.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you walking in your faith to what your purpose is in life that guys know, but you take it step by step. Because if he showed you what he had for you, it might blow your mind already.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, you might really start to get all emotional, and you might even get discouraged. But he's giving you the victory, but you still got to fight the battle, so to say.
Yeah.
You still got to go
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. And the motto at USC is fight on. So,
Yeah,
and I love that. Absolutely. And one thing that I want to say to people watching as well is like, don't let people discourage you. They may try to discourage you. And I was just watching someone say this on a video earlier, like, just don't allow outside noise to like blossom, like, because people will try to plant seeds in your mind and tell you why you shouldn't do something or because it may not seem realistic, but just try to listen to your own intuition and follow God's plan. Because if you get one yes from God, that's all you need.
that's all you need. So, what is something that really is making you move as far as with the mental health? Like, what are you seeing? What are you been praying about as far as, helping people, or even in your talking and communicating with mental health? What has been on your mind, or been just something recently that's been coming up that you've been even thinking about, or even maybe conversating a little about mental health?
Ooh. I would say in the realm of family, finances, and relationships.
Okay.
Those, at least for me, in the videos and the content that I've been seeing and talking to my sister as well, and young people, I would say finances for sure, because we're living in a tough economy. Number one is not easy to be on your own. I live with my parents, so I'm blessed to be able to have that opportunity. Not everyone has that.
Yeah.
So and saving money is also a huge thing. Like me and my sister went to the Juneteenth celebration yesterday, and she got some ice cream, and she's like, "You gonna get the ice cream too, from like a popsicle from the food truck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to, but I gotta save money." I'm like, every penny counts. So I'm like, I know I'm not the only one that is dealing with putting like pleasure aside for security.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one I said? Family. Yeah,
Finally.
family is a big one too. Like I'm close knit with my family, but some other young people may not be close to their family, or I don't know what your situation is like compared to my situation, or if you have a good relationship with, your siblings or whatever the situation is. So yeah, family matters, and relationships. So I say that in terms of friend to friend relationships, and also like dating as well. Cause like we're young people, that topic comes up constantly. Like, are you talking to someone? Like, you're getting older. Like, what's the plan? Like, do you
How do
have
you
friends?
how do you handle that as far as dating and friends, and not allowing it to have you off course, because you're going to school, you got this podcast, and what you kind of want. So how do you allow that to not affect you and take you off course?
Yeah, I'm focused on school right now, like 100%. And anyone that I'm talking to that way, I make that clear to them. I'm like, I'm focused on school. That's my top priority, not to be rude or anything. So I'm not interested in like a serious relationship. Dating, yes, like I'm open to that. As long as it's productive,
Yeah.
we're obviously lifting each other up and being being kind to one another, because I don't think just talking about, oh, the sky is blue. Yeah, but like what do you think about that mass shooting that happened in that state? Like, what do you think about people dying in the Middle East, you know? So I would say it's a work in progress.
But do you listen, man? Listen, Victoria, you is dropping. When we go back, I'm gonna have kind of like, you know how you go a summary and you write the talking points and you dropping gems and don't even know.
Am I
Yes,
really?
yes, because
Really?
you just hit, and I know our time is running short. You got another call at 5:30. I know, so we definitely gonna have to do this again. But you
I'm
just
down. I'm down. I'm
you
down.
just hit like 5 different points. You hit the awareness, you hit the finances, you hit family. But what you just said, you talking about boundaries, and that's important in mental health. Like you is like, yes, it's like, yeah. So with boundaries, mental health, okay, if I'm not setting these boundaries, I'm setting myself up to allow myself to feel hurt in a relationship. My boundaries are set, so now I'm all emotionally messed up. I'm missed assignments. I'm not productive. Okay, boundaries. I'm letting this person allow me to be a certain way that I'm not gonna be. That's with boundaries, you know, or the person that I'm talking to is not pouring into me, taking away. Now I can't be my full self. Now I gotta go on podcast. I gotta talk, but I'm still thinking about, so all the boundaries that you gotta get set up is start foundationally in any relationship, whether it's business, whether it's even family, because your family has to let you be productive. They can't pull you away from you not being productive, because this is all part of the purpose. It's all part
That's
of
right.
what you got to pour into others, because that's what you're doing,
That's right.
pouring into others as well, and even, you know, making sacrifices. But one thing I know about God, making sacrifices, being on budget, saying, you know what, I ain't gonna do this right now. He gonna find a way to where because God is intentional to where he bless you. Man, how did I get this? Or
You
people just
preach
like
it.
just like with the mic situation, you know, just like with the mic situation, God always take care of you because he know your
Yeah,
heart. And people that's in your life, they need to be pouring into you.
that's right.
And when I gave God my yes, and I always, you know, been in church and, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, lukewarm. But when I said, you know what, I'm gonna walk right and be right with God, I said anybody I connect with, whether it's a friend, whether it's a co-worker, whether it's something, they're gonna know the authenticity and that's in my heart. You know, they're gonna know it's no hidden agendas, no motive. But why can't I pour into them? Why can't I encourage them? Why can't I pray for them? Because when I wasn't walking all the way, we was talking about anything, or we were discussing stuff and doing stuff. So why can't it be positive? Because that's what it's supposed to be, you know, to where I can be just like today. All right, I'm like, you might don't think so. I didn't know about your following numbers aside. I just see the quality of work you do. So I said, let me make sure I send my confirmation and make sure it's still on. Let me get what I'm going to talk about. Let me be ready. Let me have myself ready to see, you know, what's going to happen on this interview, because I don't just be going to look at people and say they got 1,000 people. What I think is a good interview and what I see from what you're putting out, that's what I want to be a part of. That's what I want to have discussion, to have different things to come out because of what you putting out in your work. And I believe just motivation from me and you, that's what's going to happen. Don't worry about the number. Just imagine that person going to get it that's supposed to get it at that exact moment.
Mm-hmm. That's, oh my gosh, you said that so perfectly, because you could reach out to someone that has 100,000 or 1 million followers and be like, oh, they're so cool. And you talk to them and you're just like, it's just like and it's just not right. It's not it. So it's really about quality over quantity.
Yes.
And like the conversations that I have appreciated the most, like I feel like I saw them in my mind first. Like I was like, this person, I don't even like know them yet. They don't really know me yet, but I can picture myself having a really great quality conversation with this person. And they may have a lot of followers. They may not have a lot of followers, but it's like the quality of who they are comes to me before it's like their platform. And I think that's kind of getting in the way of me being my authentic self and doing outreach, is because I'm looking at the numbers. Like I love how you were like, I didn't even look at your page. I'm like looking through their page and then I'm like, I get like in my ego self, which is not, it's not really healthy because it's like
Yeah.
questioning everything. But you just said it really perfectly.
Yeah, and then I just see like your niche with the mental part. That is so needed. Then to see even fashion. I think you had did an interview from a guy from Atlanta, right? A
Um,
fashion. Was he
yeah.
from yeah, he's from Atlanta, right?
Wait.
He had a beard. Cause that's how I knew how to say your name. I had to keep watching that to hear you say your name so I can practice it.
Was I on his show or was he on my show?
I don't know. I did y'all conversation was good. Y'all was talking about fashion, and I know that's how you said your name. Because I was sounding out, but when I heard you say it, that's how I was able to say your last name.
Oh, see, my memory goes if I'm on a really good show or something, yeah, I give everything to it and I'm like, I let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, speaking of fashion, like I was recently in my church's young adults Bible study. They do like retreat. They had a women's retreat and they did
Uh-huh.
a fashion show on June 8th. So I was so grateful to be a part of that. It was super fun. It was super fun. I
Some
like
videos
fashion.
coming soon.
Oh, well, I haven't released the video, but my sister, she went to like the service on Monday, the young adult Bible study service. I've been missing them because I have class at that time. But she was like, they showed you on the screen. They had like a little highlight of you. And I was like, what? So
Wow.
yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should put some clips out.
Yeah, you should. So you
Yeah.
get this the support, and they will be able to see, the other side of you in all aspects, that you're not just one thing,
Yeah.
gonna be in that, alignment. And then what's gonna be great, the type of people that you're gonna be around, you're gonna be able to pour so much into them, even people with money. So you giving them something that money can't buy because you stand equipped.
That's
You're
right.
staying, and now, building relationship, building chemistry, building the communication. Okay, say you miss a class, I'm gonna make sure, I'm pouring into you and encouraging you and sending you something. So you might be like, man, boom, I send you this Bible verse, send you this encouragement, something. You look at it, dang, that's what I needed, because
Yeah.
God sees and God knows. So, don't get, hard on yourself. Don't get down, don't worry about what's gonna come, because it's all gonna work together for our good, in what we doing. And it's helping, like this, what the older people used to say, you're ministering to people, but you ministering to yourself. All the
Yeah.
stuff you're saying, you really speaking it on yourself, as whereas you getting it, because to get a master's, you got to have great mental. You can't be mentally messed up, or
At
what.
all.
Yeah, and people are gonna watch you. Not saying you know it all, not saying you got a degree
Mm-mm.
in the field,
Mm-mm.
but you're
Mm-mm.
talking about it. So you're gonna help others by what you're assessing, being able to see and being able to monitor from your perspective, but it's still gonna be helpful for others.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Romans 8:28. That's like my favorite verse. All things work together for the good.
And hold on, you
Oh
got to say
God.
the first part. And we
And
know.
we know,
Yeah.
and we know that all
Yeah.
things work together for the good.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and and like, even I knew this interview was gonna be, a good interaction, because like I said yesterday, we had the interview with Jeremy, so we talking to him, and he's encouraging me, about continue to do, because we being our authentic self, and that's what he was saying. Even here, like some people that he just reach out, he be himself, but then he's giving motivation, and then even spoke about your interview, and I'm already every interview I get, whether it's a young child or something, I'm giving myself, because this is what I like to do, and I'm being involved. But then, like today, I went over the stuff and looking at it. So it's like it's positive on my minute. Now I ain't even think about the two people that I had last week that canceled on me and didn't respond back. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about that, because I'm thinking I'm aware of this, and now I'm in a whole different mental space.
That's right.
And that's one thing that people have to know how to do, one day at a time. Yesterday is over with. You deal with today, because you might have had a bad day. You might have had to where your mind is wandering. An idle mind is a devil playground. So how do you strengthen your mind? By the word of God, by positive stuff and stuff that makes you happy.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
so well said. I have a sticky note on my other laptop from the president of USC when I watched the not commencement, but
Mhm.
the convocation ceremony. I was watching it when I first got into USC, and she said something so profound. And she said, make a sticky note and put fresh start every day on it and put
Mhm.
it somewhere where you could see it. And I have it on my laptop because like every day is a fresh start every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I
I
love
like
that.
that. Yeah, I like that too. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
So, what has been your favorite episode so far? for your show?
The favorite one just happened, and it happened because it was my coach, and I knew it was gonna be hard. He had like a flip phone, so I'm like, how am I
Not a
gonna be
flip
able to
phone.
get this? I called him, and he like, what do you want? Like, so I want to interview you. He like, for what? So, being that I got it and it touched so many people because, they seen a different side of him. So I would say that one just on the scope of me finally making it happen and like, but the ones that be touching me is just the younger athletes that kind of talk about God helping them through their process and playing sports. Matter of fact, a fellow USC Trojan, she about to go. Her name Mara Scott. She's from Toledo, Ohio. She runs track. She's going to USC next year. Well, we was
Okay.
talking about faith. We were talking about all this, and she like, this is what helps me. So I'm like, more people need to talk about that for other athletes can see it, because a lot of people think about church, they think about religious, because it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of religion in church where you can't do
Yeah.
that, you can't do that. But God is not in that. A lot of people have learned bad, negative, and I don't mean to get off topic, but they learn
No,
bad,
no, you're right.
negative things that they're pushing off on people. So now people have been church hurt. People have
Mm-hmm.
been in spaces where they don't even know if God's real, or they talking about the universe, so it's a lot of that going on. So when you see the real authentic and you see people that heart is after God and they're following God day by day, knowing that they're not perfect and without God, they don't know what they'll do. So when you see that, you get a joy out of that to know, it's people out there still walking and doing the right things.
Yeah, there's a question in there like about what do you think of spirituality versus religion? Because
Yeah.
like you just said, not everyone grows up in the environment of like going to church, or maybe they only go because their family forces them to, or they were raised in the church. Like both my parents, were very active in the church and, served in ministry. My mom is a preacher's kid. She's from Texas. And my dad was like Catholic when he grew up, and he's Christian, and me and my sister are both Christian and believers. And I only recently got baptized in last year, October 28th. Thank you. No one pushed me to do that, and I had asked my parents, was I baptized before? And they're like, yeah, you got sprinkled with water as a baby, but that doesn't really like
Oh yeah,
count
Christian.
for. And for me, it was a personal choice. Like I just started getting more active in the young adults, ministry, or their YA service locally here in town. But for me, no one was pushing it down my throat or anything, forcing me to get baptized. It was more of a personal thing because there's a local library that I like to go to with a duck pond, and they have like this, it's really calming and it has water and everything. And at the time I was reading a book by Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee, called Be Water, My Friend. And just reading that book was so calming. And I was just having like all of these different like reflections with like water. Every time I see water, like something about
Yeah,
water. And then it just came to me. I'm like, I think I want to get baptized. I think I want
yeah.
to get baptized. So that was like an epiphany for me personally, how it came
Holy,
to me.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like that's how the Holy Spirit was speaking to me. So,
Yeah.
long story short, what are your thoughts on spirituality versus religion? 'Cause some people can come to it in different ways.
Yeah, and I think God meets you where you at, and what you want to know and what your heart desires, because you have to have an open heart and an open mind to be able to
Yes.
see what He's
Yeah.
doing, and you can't be pushed, do this and do that, because if you're doing it like that, you're forcing it. Now somebody else's fingerprint is on Victoria, but now that you're at that space where you got it yourself, where He speaks through you, because He speaks through movies, through you listening to something in the stillness, you can be reading something and see it. He speaks in a lot of different ways. And
Right.
you said, this is, let me say this before I forget, like Bruce Lee had the thing like be like water. So
Yeah.
that's on the thing of his daughter. I
Yes.
understand
Yeah.
that. Mental health, having a great mind space. A lot of times, this is what you need to remember and tell some of your audience as well. Sometimes you just got to sit there at a spot and just listen. Just no talking, no phone, no music. Just
Just
hear
shut
what I
up.
got to say.
Just be
Yeah,
be
yeah. So
still. Be
I
still.
visualized you just read that book just down there, and then when you said the fact of how it happened, how he speaks, that's what he do. Sometimes people don't even give themselves enough time just to be quiet or just to hear, what's going on. But what I don't like doing is arguing about politics and religion. Like I don't like doing that because people is so they
Toxic.
want to make what you saying be wrong or what they heard. And man, Christianity is from Caucasian people, from the white man.
Oh yeah, that argument, the racial aspect of it. It's
But the
so many layers to it that if you get too far deep into it, you start to question everything.
Yeah, because and then like the oldest Bible was found in Ethiopia. And we're Ethiopian in Africa.
In
Okay.
Africa,
So we
yeah,
can't say this is true. They got a hold of the Bible, and just like a person today can take the Bible and manipulate, because it's
right.
manipulation, which is of the devil, that's evil. So
Hmm.
they took out the scriptures and stuff, and the people didn't know nothing about it. So that's what happened. But they want to act like, it's a white man's religion and all this and that. But man, God has showed me, it's been times I don't know how this happened, how that happened. I knew it had to be God, just as
Yeah.
well as I know that situation has happened to you.
Yeah. I feel like God is a friend to all of us in our own individual, beautiful, unique ways. And only you can develop that relationship.
Yeah.
Only you can develop that friendship with God. So I can't judge anybody for how they're feeling or negative emotions that they're having. We're living in a really, really, really sensitive time when it comes
Yeah.
to religion and politics. And I really try to stay as neutral as possible when people ask me about it, because we have cancel culture, we have, everything, a lot of stuff going on. So I just try to do my own research ahead of time. But I definitely don't like to be labeled like, oh, you're this, so you believe
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
don't tell me
'Cause you
what I should
got,
believe.
'cause you got denominations, you got all that.
Yeah.
I
You
got an
know,
interview with this guy tomorrow. He's a chef and he's a ministry. So his one of his core scriptures on his logo is Psalms 34:8. Oh, come and taste and see the goodness of God, because that's how God gonna show you, and you gonna get what you want out of it. It ain't gonna be
yeah.
what everybody else saying.
Yes, sir.
Me ask you this: how would you feel about, like, speaking to the youth on different topics, and even having like religious or talking about God to youth, or being able to speak on that? Would you feel comfortable in that, or is that something you got to grow on?
Oh, wow. I feel like that's a question that I have in my mind too. So for you to like ask it is like confirmation, like when you
Hey,
think,
Holy Spirit working. That's why
yeah,
I said we connected, man.
like just me even like talking to you about like my faith and religion and spirituality is like a big thing for me, because in my own personal life it's like my world, like everything, but you have to like tiptoe around talking about it, with other people. So I appreciate you asking me that question. I'm even thinking in my own platform still, like how can I open the conversation up about religion. And there's a student actually at USC, she was the valedictorian, she didn't get to speak. She's Muslim, and they didn't let her do her commencement speech actually because they were scared of anti-Semitic protests or something like that. And I'm thinking, like, why not ask her to be on my podcast and talk about how she's feeling and her faith, and speak about the situation, happening abroad. Even though I don't
Yeah,
know
but
everything about it.
yeah,
So
but
it's
what
something
you
that
would do,
I'm still thinking about it.
what you would do is just pray. Pray before you do it,
Yeah.
because we gotta cover ourselves. We got a garden, we gotta protect the irrigates and all like that. But that's a real thing, and you doing it genuine out of a heart. And for you to
Hmm.
have the idea to think of that, that's a great thing.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so right about that. Oh, that's another question for you, is like when you have guests on and like how you were saying, I don't know what this could be like or what this episode is going to be like, if they're going to go off. How do you like prepare yourself before an episode? Like what is your pre-episode routine or your pre-record routine?
Well, I need to start, like I'm telling you, I need to start praying before I go on, honestly. I need to start doing that, but I kind of get my mindset on what I want to talk about, or what I want to, the direction I want to go. But a lot of times, like today, Holy Spirit, a lot of times take over. But you will see, as the question you have asked that person, you'll see by their response it, and then it's all about redirecting. So if they saying something going left field, you might need to go ahead and bring another question in, like, oh man, yeah. So, and then go on to a thing, because as being a podcaster, we kind of control the conversation.
Right. Absolutely. And that's, to me, that's a sign of like a seasoned or an experienced podcaster, someone who's able to like navigate the conversation and bring up more questions than
Yeah.
we originally had. Um written down for the person. Like they just come up while you're in conversation. It's like, wait, I need to ask them this instead. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great with
Hey,
that.
I know
Yeah.
you only got a couple minutes, so I'm gonna ask you,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you just one thing. Whatever's on your heart, speak something positive to the youth.
Hmm. Well, when I think of youth, I first of all think of my younger self. So whatever I'm saying to you is like what I'm saying to me. Uh, you know what? It's feel your feelings. So the title itself comes from a space of allowing yourself to feel your emotions. God didn't give us the emotions that we have for no reason. Everything happens for a reason. So whatever you're feeling right now in this moment, make the best out of it. If you're feeling down, it's okay to feel down, but don't feel down too long. And if you're feeling joyful, spread that joy, because you don't know who else like needs to hear it or see it. Me having this conversation with Dan Juan right now is came from him seeing me on another platform and being optimistic and whatnot. Now it's leading me here. So yeah, follow your feelings. Don't let them control you. Um, yeah, and just ask God for guidance.
Yeah. So I just want to say, may God continue to strengthen you. May he continue to guide you. May your steps be ordered, because God said the steps of a righteous man are ordered. May you have favor in everything you do. May he give you all the desires of your heart, and may you continue to walk in your purpose on purpose.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you too.